Shirt Show. All right, let's go.
Shirt Show! Talking shirt! Shirt Show! Just talking shirt! Shirt Show! Talking shirt! Shirt Show! Shirt, man!
All right, episode 18 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Ron from Talk Shirty to Me in Pennsylvania. Let's go!
So what's up?
What's happening?
Oh, I'm just like living at work, working at home.
Yeah.
No.
Look at that beautiful shop behind you.
Yeah. So, I mean, Dylan, we go way back. You remember when I just stumbled in your shop looking for a Craigslist buy? And
That's what we'll call it. It was a Craigslist buy. It wasn't the lonely ads.
Did he buy some equipment, or did he buy like a trampoline from you?
Oh boy. Well,
He didn't buy anything.
I just showed up and he just started filling me full of knowledge. I got fired up. I was speeding home and I actually blew the engine block on my Audi. So that was cool. I was really fired up to get back to the shop.
Ron was coming to look at my old precision oval. And I'm glad you didn't buy it.
I am too.
Yeah.
But you and I had like some really cool transactions over the years.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
I know. We got to make something happen here.
Well, we're going to have lunch next week, right?
Yes, I can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah. So tell me about the new place.
So it's like a month and a half, and I bought this dump, right? Like 10,000 square foot dump. It was a tractor place that did, supplies, and they fixed stuff and they welded. There was like 2 inches of grease on the ground. And with COVID hitting, I bought it before, everything broke down and then we couldn't close on it for like 4 months. It was just a disaster, but I wanted it really, really bad because we were busting at the seams. So when it came to close, they're like, hey, we could close this really quick. The guy's like, I didn't move anything out. I'm like, I'm like, just leave it. I'll do it myself. So
I saw you were posting on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, like all the shit that was in there. Did you end up selling it all?
So some sold, like I didn't try to sell anything because I just kind of had to get it out, but I'm one to recycle a lot, so I was, me, I like to cut deals. So I had all these Kubota parts, like I have a Kubota tractor, so I kept stuff for myself, but I'm like, I got to get my parking lot resealed and I got to get all this stuff done. I got to get a parking lot, lot's huge. You'll see next week. I got to get that done. So I found an excavator who had a small shop and I'm like, he's like, how much you want for all this? I'm like, how about like 2 seal coats and free plowing for like 2 years? You can take all. And he's like, deal. I'm like, when do you want it out? I'm like, tomorrow. He's like, all right, I'll be there. He showed up and took everything. I'm like, thank you.
That's awesome.
So wait a second. So you bought a building and it included everything in it? Like it was almost like on Storage Wars or whatever that show's called, where you just buy this thing and then whatever's inside, it's also yours?
So it went down like here's the building. It's a date, like the day of the closing. The owner and I meet here. It's like they had a Christmas party and they moved into their new shop and just left everything here. The stockings were still hung. The parts were still on the shelves. It seemed like anything that didn't have like a part number on it that they couldn't identify, they left on the shelves. So we're talking like $1,000 salt skids. We're talking 3-point hitch. I mean, tons of tractor stuff. I hawked a lot of it. I scraped, and then I had this guy who took it all for that trade, which, my quote for the parking lot to be recoated and fixed was almost like $12,000 because of the size. So for me to unload it like that and know that somebody's going to use it, and, it made sense. But yeah, it went down like, here's the morning. Hey, what are you doing with that forklift? I don't know. You want it? Yes, I'll take it. So like, it was like wicked at the end. He just wanted to close real bad because he was on his new building and he wanted this out. So I got all that stuff.
So that's just straight up your building now?
Straight up my new gigs.
You said you were going to try and buy it before COVID happened, and then it happened and you still went on with it. I mean, did you ever for a moment pause and say, wait a minute, I'm not going to do that anymore? I'm going to, you know what I mean?
I'm a risk taker, so I'm a vet too. And when this all went down, I just kept going on. I'm a survivor. So I just kept moving on. Even when they told me I couldn't, I found a way that I could, so I just kept moving and moving and moving. But this is something I had to do for my company. I had to put some personal savings into it. Nobody likes to do that, but it's either, keep your employees that are like your work family, here to work, and, dip into your own savings as an owner. That's, what I had to do in order for this dream to come true for the next chapter of Talk Shirty to me. So, you got to do what you got to do, basically. But I had no doubt in mind that this wouldn't work out. If I second guessed myself, I wouldn't be sitting in this position.
Sure. So how many square feet did you have before? And then what do you have now?
So when I first started, I think I was in a 10 by 10 college apartment, right? And then the most recent shop, which I still have up on Route 6 in Blakely, PA, that's roughly about 3,200 square feet. And now we're at 10,000 square feet. So it's a significant jump up, and we've filled it up pretty quick with, the new equipment and, everything else. But I feel great. It's a huge undertaking, but a month and a half ago, this place, compared to what it looks like now, it would blow your mind from the painting and everything else. So it's fun. I enjoy this.
Yeah, I've seen like nonstop videos of you posting like scraping the floors, painting everything, and
it's wicked.
Burning wood.
Oh, it's wicked. Oh, that was fun.
Breaking wood. Breaking wood too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
you're chopping.
I had to throw that in there, but when I did the floor, like I had like a little taste. I'm like, I got this little torch. I'm going to do some pallet burning in the window. And then the floor here was like wicked old. I'm like, I want something that I could beat up. And I kind of took inspiration from your floor, Dylan. It was like that beat up plank wood, So I went up to the mill. I got this piney stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to just poly it. I'm going to burn it. So I go Tractor Supply, and I got one of those like huge
torches.
Yeah. Next thing I know, no leg hair. All my jewelry heated up. I got burn marks all over me. I almost like knocked myself out with the gas. I didn't have any windows. So I'm like, what am I doing? So I had to kind of slow down because I was in like work overload. I wasn't really thinking late at night. So it's been challenging.
Yeah. Well, I know I've heard the Ron story before, but tell me, everyone who's listening, how did you get into it and what you did before and all that good stuff? Wow.
So yeah,
the not 5 hour version,
not the 5 hour. We'll get right through it. Long story short. So I got out of high school, went down to Florida, had some fun, enlisted there, joined the military. I got they were overloaded, overcrowded. I was able to get discharged early, honorably, great. Served it out in the reserves. Went right into college. From Scranton, University of Scranton, I ran a speakeasy out of my basement. I probably had maybe 300 to 400 kids drinking in my basement every weekend, and it was paying my dorm, all that. We have a small hometown. Hey, we got to get some shirts made for this huge parade. All right, so I go down to the local shirt guy. I get the bill. Came out to $30 a piece for like 23 shirts. One color front, one color back. And I said, there's got to be a better way. Like, ma'am, like what happened here? She goes, well, if you ordered 24, it would have went down to 15. I'm like, well, why didn't you just tell me that? She goes, well, that's not my job to tell you. I'm like, oh boy. So I had like a bad taste in my mouth. And when that happens, I kind of go all in, like I'm ferocious. I want to find out what's going on. So I remember back in high school, I had an amazing art teacher. I did screen printing with him, the old stencil stuff. I'm like, I'm going to do this myself. Watch, I'm going to do this. So the following parade year, I made like my own little press, blah, 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 blah. I go to a bar. Hey, can I make your shirts? You buy the shirts. I'll print them. Made like $300, $400 on that. And they looked like dog shit. And then I went on eBay and I bought like one of those little blue presses, with the magnets. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. So here's my college dorm, 10 by 10. We're sharing the apartment. And I got a printing. I mean, it looked shady as shit. I got all this chemical and ink and like this weird looking machine in my dorm. The girls that would come over were like, what the hell is that? I'm like, don't worry. I'm just printing T-shirts, like, whatever it was. So, college goes, law school, hated it, didn't want to do that. Joined corporate America, and I was like a sales trainer for admissions for a business school. So I was traveling around just helping people, like, to gain experience. Why would they want to come to your school? And I was like a motivator, but too much rain, like just too much sunshine. They promised me all this stuff, and then it just didn't come through on it. So I said, I quit. I'm going to leave this huge 6-figure job, and I'm going to walk out. By the time I got to the parking lot, they're like, come back. We'll find you a replacement 6 months. You know the story. 6 months comes. No. It's just so much pressure, working in corporate America like that. So I just said, no, I'm done. I have this t-shirt gig on the side. I'm going to do that, whatever. So somehow I become a high school graphic teacher. I don't know, like walked in trying to donate old screen stuff I needed. And they're like, hey, do you ever think you want to teach high school? I'm like, no, absolutely not. No, never. Then I'm like kicking around. Yeah, maybe I'll sub for the rest of the year. It's like 2 weeks left. And I loved it. I really did. I loved it. So I started, played that political game, got in, became a teacher here in Northeastern PA, and met the love of my life shortly right at the same time. And this was in my basement of my house. And then a year later, we decided, hey, we're going to move in together. And I couldn't do it out of my basement because I was moving up to the country. So we opened up our first shop. And then, boom, first shop opens. People start coming. They want something different because there's a lot of old school printers around here. The vellum, the type of shops you walk in, stuff hasn't been updated. How many times could you do a muscle, body with an animal head on it? Like they were just getting sick and tired of it. And we had something different. But I just couldn't keep up part-time. So school year comes, it's like Thanksgiving. And my wife knows like my day was like 7:30 in the morning, teach to 3 to like 1 o'clock in the morning at car washes, washing screens out, like ice dripping on. I mean, it was just a wild ride. And it was exhausting. And she goes, why don't you just do that full time? And I'm like, I'm kind of scared. Like, I have a pretty decent income. I got everything. She goes, well, you need to believe in yourself. I believe in you. And like, that gave me the motivation to be like, that's all I needed to hear. I needed somebody to tell me that they believe in me because I had a really rough upbringing. So it's not like I have a lot of motivators in my life. So she said, just go all in. What do you have to lose? So I said, all right. So I remember like my first day when I said I'm going to leave and I'm not coming back after Thanksgiving, and I'm sitting in my office like, well, what do I do with all this free time now? Because I'm not working from 7 to 3. And then I'm going, wait, now I have all this time to create this. I could go out and do sales and still use the hours and still be on that, So it was a lot of figuring out and following all of you guys too. I mean, social media is this kind of new and upcoming, but finding shops and people that I could talk to and say, hey, what could I do? How could I grow? And the collaboration, going to a show. I mean, I was boozing up at parades every March down at the Atlantic City show. We had the largest parade for St. Patrick's Day. So for like 5 years, I never went to a show. First show I went, bought a shit ton of equipment. I didn't even know the show existed. So it's those trial and error periods. That shop immediately took off. I had to get a bigger shop. I moved 2 blocks over to a larger shop, which was like 10 by 25, which I thought was like, big. So I had 2 manuals in there, stuffed to the gills there. Moved to another shop like 2 years later. That's when I was looking for the auto. I met Dylan. And then a sign shop that was doing some of my work moved up to the highway, and they had too much space. And they offered me to move. I'm like, dude, I just moved. I can't keep moving. People, they can't keep up with me. Like, I have to keep this location for 6 months to tell people to go there for 6, So I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to move in the middle of my busy season of October. So I moved to Route 6, and then it was still Augelli printing, which nobody, come on, Augelli. Write that shit down, right? And then try to remember that. It was so hard. You can't say it one. They've been messing it up since I was a kid, and everything I've done, they've messed it up. So my wife and I are out to eat, and it's like, we can't keep going on as Augelli printing. It's just not, it's not what it is anymore. And, we need to come up with a brand, something that we could sell later, that's what we're behind. It's not about me. It's about a brand. And we were just throwing so many names around. And then Poison came on, talked dirty to me. And my wife, who's an English teacher, she goes, talk dirty to me. And I said, let's go. Boom. Went right online, started the copyright paperwork. That took a little while. And then we just went with it, and we went with it. And people love it. They go crazy for it. It's a good name in our area. It just exploded because we were new. We're not new, but we are trying to change up the game. High quality stuff, great looking apparel, not just getting it out at a price point. But, through the time, I had to grow even more. But it was like, hey, do I stay where I'm at because I'm really comfortable, or do I just keep going? And this is like my tipping point. I'm not going any bigger than this. Anything I can't do here is going out. I am not doing. So
you're saying that 10,000 feet there that you have, this building you bought, right, no matter what, this is it.
This is as big as I'm going to get my production facility. The 10,000 square feet was an overage because I also brought in my embroidery. I had my embroidery at a whole different shop because I couldn't keep it at my other one.
God,
So
that sounds awful.
My heads, and so imagine COVID, and you can't go anywhere. You know, you can't get to these shops. I was shut down. My area was shut down. They find me on the road, they'd find me. I mean, it was nuts. So my whole thought process, 10,000 square feet, keep everything in house as much as I can, and send all the crap out I don't want to do. I'll send it out to, to the colleagues that I know that could handle it, and let them be good at what they could do best.
Plus, you can put out a lot of shirts at 10,000 feet. I mean, that's a lot of space, so.
Oh, yeah.
Now back there, I kind of recognize it. I want to say I'm familiar with that press back there.
I would hope so. We did the 1214 Cobra. Compliments of you. I was following you. And I'll be honest, Dylan knows I had this huge deal with another company, and it just couldn't really come through. And there was a lot.
I talked you off the ledge. And
Dylan with my, cow pasture drunk on a Friday night and tipped me over. And I just said, you know what? It's made in America. Everything. How could I go wrong? But after seeing your videos, Andy and Dylan, and being in his shop and seeing how smooth these things are, and me owning a Gauntlet 3 as well, I said, hey, you know what? This is what we're going to go with. And it's everything, to be honest. And you're right. When you help design and get this collaborate, it's everything a printer would think of. I mean, just those little dots with the lines on the flood bar. I mean, it's incredible, the things that I'm finding on the presses. I'm going through it in the last 2 days of the install. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Is it fully up and ready now?
Tomorrow we're printing a 9-color job first thing in the morning. It's a new press, so there's little things that they had to adjust here and there that they couldn't at the factory. Like, we were ready to go today. We're going to put the hot head on, and it's like, wait, the hot head clamp is for the other style.
It takes its own special clamp.
So I'm not going to be mean about it. I'm like, hey, you just came out with this thing. Like, send me the bracket. It's 4 bolts. I'll put it on. We're good to go. But they're like, oh my God, we're so sorry. I'm like, chill out. Like, chill. It's fine. I bought this with the knowing that it's going to need a little tweaking here and there that they couldn't do at HQ. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Do you have the other presses set up there yet?
So I still have Route 6. I have the Gauntlet 3 set up on Route 6 still. So I didn't lose, too much production. And then I have the Workhorse Sabre on the other side of this one, which I'm probably going to end up replacing down the road anyway. But
is that one up and ready right now?
Yeah, we're in gas and go, with that. So, but the guys, my shop, everybody, to see where we all started, and I invited them down here, and their eyes just like lit up. They're like, I am so happy to come to work now, because we were stuffed in there like startings and just the shop layout and all the personal touches. They all have a parking spot with their little, with their name and face on it. Like, I did it up for them pretty well here.
It's weird how that works though. Like, I'm sure it happened every time you went to a new space, how quickly you fill up your space. Cause you think you're like, oh fuck, like, I got this huge space now, we're good. But next thing you know, like, all of a sudden you've got, boxes filling it up, or who knows what, so it's crazy how fast it fills up.
That's something that I get asked like all the time by smaller print shops on like Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. Is like what size shop should I get and all this other stuff. And it's like, I really wish, like, it's weird for me because I own the building and I can only really do what I can do with it. But like, you need to get a lot more than you think you're going to get, especially if you're going to invest in it. Because like, even you, Andy, like, you were telling me like you expanded fucking like 4 times, and like, I can only go so far. Like, next year we literally need to like add like 40 feet onto the building because that's my only option.
And I agree with you with that, Dylan. I've been up your shop. Right. You run a clean shop, though. It's probably one of the cleanest ones I've been in. Andy, I'll come visit you. I'm sure it's just even better.
His is filthy as fuck.
Is it?
Anytime.
Ink everywhere.
If like you eat a hard-boiled egg off the floor, then it's clean.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things though. Like I said, you're not going in there with manuals or whatever, but like when I came into this shop, it was like I had 2 manuals and like an Economax dryer in the middle of the floor. And it's like, oh my God, there's so much space for, like, there's so much room for activities. Like, we could have dance parties. We literally had a scooter racetrack when we first moved in, like a push scooter track. And we would time each other to see like who could get around fast enough because we had the space.
Well, that was like the time came to visit you, and you and I were talking business, and my dad was riding a scooter around the shop.
Yeah.
Remember?
Well, we used to have that, and then we had like the moped area where we like worked on mopeds, and then like just stupid stuff. And now it's like there's no fucking way you could do anything extra in there because it's like just enough room to get around everything.
When we went from 5,000 feet to 7,500, I thought that was like, this is going to be the greatest, like we're going to have so much space. And we finally got it finished and built out. And literally like 5 minutes after we were there, it's like, it was full and we needed more space. And so what's so weird is that I remember thinking to myself, oh, should we do it? Should we really get more space? Because we could play it safe and we're fine. Like we're functioning in 5,000. Why get more space? We're making it work now.
Yeah.
But then you get that more space. And then I think like, can you imagine even going back to smaller? I mean, it's unbelievable. There's just no way,
Well, the problem is too, is that you get all your equipment in there and everything. And you're like, oh, I've got some extra room. Like I'm okay. I've got a little bit of this. And then you get your first like decent size order and you're like, where the fuck do I put all these boxes? Mm-hmm. It's like right now, like I literally have to, I'm thinking about getting like a shipping container to put shirts in because I have some of these huge orders.
I've run those numbers like 100 times. We were going to have a semi parked out back and just with the trailer, just fill it all the time.
That's what we're thinking about doing.
It has been done up on Route 6 though. And, I had the tractor trailer in the back.
Yeah.
That's the only way I could function is have a tractor trailer in the back that I could put stuff in and take out, whether it was inventory or equipment that was not used for that season. It was helpful. It really was. Right. I actually moved it down here too, painted it the same color as the building. So it kind of looks like, it blends in.
Well, that's the thing is like you get an order, like the problem is like hoodies, especially because you fit like 25 hoodies in a box and it's a bigger box. Yeah. And it's like, you get a hoodie order that's like, oh, and they need 3,000 hoodies or something. That's like 10 fucking pallets full of hoodies. And it's like, where do you put that? Where do you move them? And the thing is too, is it's like, is it just front or is it front and back? Where do you put the boxes after you're done with the fronts? It's like, it's just, that's something you need to think about. You need to have like just a whole extra area of just space that you can just move shit around in.
I think it's important to think about it this way too. Anybody considering getting more space and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to play it safe and just stay smaller, is that when you get that, when we were smaller anyway, we ended up like, we were so inefficient because we were tripping over each other, or we had to rebox things and put them here, put them there, and move boxes around just to get by. And once you have that extra space and you can just put those boxes over here or put that piece of equipment over here or just spread out, you know what I mean? So you're just not all on top of each other. It's so much better. And I think that you actually save money, than whatever that cost you in rent or your mortgage or whatever, or your expansion, you're going to get it back just by having more space. I think so.
I agree. I mean, we've all printed where we had our orders out in the sidewalk, and that's where we were at. We would line up, like UPS would come and it'd be lined out all on the apron all day long.
And how long does it take to go out there, like and get the boxes
out there at the end of the day? And then whatever we printed that was getting printed, or UPS would go out, and then we take everything out. And this was my life for the last 2 years. UPS would come, fill up the whole apron during, in the morning. We print everything that was inside, take that back outside, and then take the next stuff in. And that was 3 to 4 days ahead of schedule, the stuff coming in, to stage it, to get it ready for the, 3 or 2 days to get on press. So it's been like a wicked strategy of it. But the extra space, like you guys just said, I have the tractor trailer to do that up the other shop. But I just got a call from a lady. She's like, hey, do you know what Comfort Colors is? I'm like, yeah, I do. And she's like my wholesale lady that I meet up the flea market. She's like, well, I just got like 2 tractor trailers full of Comfort Colors trucker hats. Like there's like 20 different styles. I'm like, well, how many hats? She's like, I think like 100,000 of them. And I'm like, all right, bring me some samples by. And she's like, well, how many do you want? I'm like, well, if the price is right. So like now where do I put I'm looking at it now, like 6,000 hats. Where do I put these at? Thank God I have this larger building, because now there's hats here and I got them, next to nothing, It
looks like you got a ton of extra space in where you're at right now.
So when I got this, I had no idea there was another building attached to it, because I came here to get my tractor tire fixed. I didn't come here to buy a building. I blew the tire out of my Kubota. I drove up and it said, for sale. And I said, perfect. This is great. Look at the size of this thing.
Why do you have a tractor?
I live up in the country on a lake, so I do a lot of work myself, and it's like my meditation. I get on that with my blue, and I just move shit around. I love it. Love it.
You got your New Balances on like Dylan?
No, I don't wear those. I wear the Adidas.
Some crispy boys.
They actually match my company. See? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I ordered one time, you know how you can do the Nike ID? I ordered some Nikes, and on the back you could, you know how you can write whatever. So I put shirt Kong, only they wouldn't let me put Kong for some reason. And so I had to put K and then the 0 NG. But I still have them. They're stitched. They're from 10 years ago or something, but I put them in our colors too.
Personalization of your brand is so much fun. I mean, I did the similar thing for my first 4 employees that stuck around for a year. I have a Adidas SLD account, and I really didn't have the business for it, but I had to spend money with them. So I had like the shoe, and it had a little tag, like the little ID tag on the lace. And, you know, you could do all that cool stuff out there. But it's those touches that keep people around.
Well, that's something that I always bust your balls on is like how you put your logo on everything. Everything.
Why would I wear Under Armour?
Because Dylan doesn't do that. Dylan doesn't have his logo on hats or his sweatshirt or his behind.
Look, see?
Or his bike or, you know, anything else. Well, when Dylan and I went out to, where do we go? Was that California?
Yeah.
He got like a little package because I knew he didn't really wear much of his stuff, you know? So I made him like this like nice little tennis shirt with a hot.
Dude, I still have all that.
Little white shorts. I said, come on, we're going to play some tennis.
Yeah. Dude, those white shorts, if I put those white shorts on, you can see everything. It's like thin, high, like super high,
California,
silky shorts, like super silky white polo.
Those are coming back. Those are coming back.
I'll start wearing them to work, but I don't think people are going to like it.
But no, it's fun. Branding matters. It matters. I mean, why am I going to wear somebody else's brand? They're not paying me. You know, this pays me. This makes me money, and people see it. So, me to give out merchandise, this makes sense. I have friends, family, business part. Everybody's wearing our stuff. They just like it. They think it's hilarious. 1, 2, it looks good. You know, it feels good. But I just can't really wear anybody else's stuff because they're not paying me. I'm not an athlete. I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to wear something. I'm not trying to look like them either. You know?
Do you guys have problem? Because I have this problem when I go and I want to, now if I want a shirt, if I'm at a show, or I do buy those, but if I'm out and I see a shirt and it's expensive, let's say it's $40 or $50, do you think to yourself, fuck, I just make that, you know, like it's hard for you to buy a graphic tee ever?
We always have that.
Go ahead and buy it.
Like I think we always have that moment where like, I can make that. I did that so many, you know, I could do that. Now I'm just like, I'm just going to buy that because I just don't want to go through the trouble of having to recreate all of that right now. But that's why the direct to garment's great because now I can just snap my own stuff. But
Dylan's interested in that too.
Is he?
Yeah. So
I got this because this is compatible with the digital squeegee.
Yeah.
20 by 20. So, you know, in a couple of years, if things, you know, gear up, that would be an add-on that I would bring to my shop, but there will not be a third press here. There'd be add-ons to the press that's here or a replacement of the press. So that was a buying feature for the Cobra for sure because of that capability of that add-on.
So you got the 20 by 20?
20 by 20.
So I guess we have the same press because we have the 12-14, 20 by 20.
You're number 1, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're what?
Number 2.
For real?
No, I'm number 3. So number 2 must be at the headquarters. Because that's where they're testing it, right? So
I don't know. I don't know where 2
I don't know what number 2 is. We're gonna have to find out where number 2 is.
I heard of a number 6. It's also in New York.
Well, number 6, I got messaged. They were messaged through Instagram. They saw what was going on, and he's like, you know, the install went well, whatever. And theirs isn't our size though. Theirs is
16, 18.
Yeah, it's smaller. So, and there's one bigger. I don't know how.
Yeah, there's a X. So ours is the XL, and I think there's a double XL.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just stuck. I got 003. I'm good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
I was really hoping it was 007, but we shouldn't want to.
Who's got that one?
I was hoping because I'm like 6. Somebody's got 6. I'm getting 007. I already had the gold T-shirts made up. We had James Bond posters getting made, and then I got 3. So now I got to figure that out.
It'd be awesome if it's like a black press with like gold features on it. Like gold anodized squeegees and flood bars.
But this is how my mind thinks. Like, how could I turn this into some kind of ploy for me to market this, So I'm going with the Cobra Kai because it's hot. People love it.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about this a bunch of times, but like what, I know you focus heavily on like your local area and like the schools and all that stuff. Tell us a little bit about how your strategy with all that stuff.
So that's only what you see. I'll be honest, and here I'm on this platform with you. I only show you what I want you to see. And that's what I think social media should be. I will show you the schools. I will show you all of that because those accounts are not loyal. Those accounts are 4-year PTA moms or teachers that become principals or principals that become, different areas. So to me, they're not really loyal because every 4 years is like, now I got to reconnect and see, how many times have you heard, oh, well, my cousin Prince or, this guy's husband Prince. And it's like, I've been beaten around the bush so many times to know like, hey, I'm going to do it when it comes in, but I'm not relying on it to be a hard number in my system because you'll have an amazing mom who runs the touchdown club who will spend thousands of dollars a year. And then when her kid graduates and goes to college, the phone stops ringing from that person. And you hope that she transferred that over to the next person. And you hope that you can connect as well as you did with them. Now, I would say it's a 60-40 chance, but again, it's not something that's what you see. What I bank on are the niches, the different industries that I really work with, that I print directly for, that work in the area in Northeastern PA and all over the country. It's just only what you see.
That's super true. I remember when we first started, that happened all the time, and you get a connection. Like we had a connection with this Powder Puff League, and it was this girl, actually, she was in charge of it. She was one of the students, and she'd bring in like cash too from every kid. There was like 300 kids and they'd bring cash and it was like thousands of dollars, like there's just a wad of cash. And
then a Ziploc bag full of like $30 in quarters.
Yeah.
It was the greatest, and then next year and then all of a sudden she's gone, and so sometimes it happens where they're at college and then they're like, hey, we need some shirts up here, wherever they go. But
when I got slapped with, hey, you're printing for the sororities and you got to be under oh shit, like you get that email and you're like, all right, no problem.
You get that email even if you aren't printing for the sororities.
Right.
So
so like, yeah, whatever, but you're right. But that, Dylan, yeah. So, a couple of years I tried to jump into the school game hard because a local business pulled out basically and sold. And there was an opportunity for me to jump on it. It just wasn't as lucrative or committed as I thought it was. So it was a good addition to the business. It got us a lot of exposure because being in the schools, moms and dads that have businesses or work for places, they hear of us and it snowballs effect that way. So it's like a short and long game in itself, but it's a whole different beast of reality because they're looking for the best price to save cost. And then you have your guy who walks in who owns XYZ business and he's like, this is what I want. I don't care what it costs. And I'm going to come back 3 to 4 times a year. And we know what that feels like. Like, it's a good feeling, you guys know.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that I want to work for. They're the ones that see the value and appreciate, the customer service that we offer, meeting with my staff, the reps that we assign them to, that personal touch, but still able to get it fast because it's all done digitally.
So a couple things. One, does your building, this new building, does it have exposure? Like from the road, sign and things like that?
If you were, well, Dylan, when you come down next week, you could see it from almost 7 miles away. Yeah.
Well, plus you painted the whole building.
I painted the building blue, like this color blue. Half of it's blue. It has a big yellow stripe, a black base. The roof is white, and I put a 20-foot Talk Shirty to Me bubble outside.
What do you mean bubble?
Like this bubble. 20
like
foot.
His speech bubble logo.
Speech bubble. It says Talk Shirty to Me. 20 foot on the building.
And it's lit?
Oh, it's lit. All LED. People they come up to the Route 6 shop and I'm like, hey, the staff is down at the new production facility right down the road. What are you doing up here on Route 6? Oh, we're going to turn that in Talk Shirty Me Express. I'll get into that one. And they're like, well, how do I get there? I go, take a left out of here, go down the road, and just look straight. and you can't miss it. And they can't miss it because it's like
can fucking see it from space.
If you flew into the area, you will see this big, obnoxious blue building. I mean, I'm going to get up there with the paint roller next week and put We Talk Shirty on the roof.
In our city, county, whatever the fuck, we have to have, you have to get a sign permit and we're limited. Like we can't do, you know what I mean? You're limited, Bert. Like, so I think goes something like the square footage of the front of your building divided by whatever is how big your sign can be.
You're going to piss your pants. Guess who I'm sitting next to? Guess where my building is next to?
The city hall or something?
Yeah, Borough Building and the police department are right next door. They're like brand new. They just built it. And then they had this ugly ass looking tractor building that looked like it was ready to catch on fire. So when I came in, I contact zoning, and this guy's a hard ass. Like this guy just made a local insurance agent who put her name on these Black Lives Matter signs, love is for all, made these awesome signs. And she put, blank, blank insurance company at the bottom. He goes, you take those down or it's $50 a sign. And she was just trying to do good. This guy was a hard ass, So I'm like, oh boy, I got some ideas. But I went over there and he's like, I am so happy you moved in. That place looked like shit. He's like, whatever you want to do, just make sure you get the permits. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna put a sign on my dumpster. I like that idea.
Are you serious?
I put signs everywhere he would allow me. He's like, because right when you come to the stop sign, there's these swinging gates that come onto the one side of the lot. I'm like, well, I want to put up this, see-through, like at the baseball games, you could see through it, but it's digitally printed mesh banner. And he's like, well, I never heard of that. I'm like, he's like, well, banners are like $30 every 6 months. I'm like, no, this is permanent. It's not a banner, not a banner. And he's like, all right, I think that'll look good. So I, gave him the renditions. That was like $50. So then I'm like, I hit him last. I'm like, I was going to paint that mural of the bubble. And it was like 8 by 8. And he's like, yeah, I'd like to see a sign there. And I'm going, holy shit, that's going to cost me a lot of money, And then I'm like, you know what, fuck it, 20 by 20. He's like, 20 by 20? I'm like, yeah, 20 by 20, and I'll put a dye bond sign up there. It'll be in 6 pieces. It'll be bolted to the building. Is it going to be backlit or lit? I'm like, it's not going to be lit. Don't worry about it. It's just no attention to it. And he goes, all right, I'll prove it. He signs off on it. So there was an existing 6x6 New Holland tractor sign 8 feet in front of it that was used for the existing thing. I didn't have to get a permit for it. I took it down and I put a big fucking spotlight on it. It looks like a street light, but it backlights right to the Talk Shirty side. So it's like, whoom. It looks like Batman just right in your face, So then I just kept going with it. And then I had a local mural person come in and just start decorating shit all over the place. So this guy's like,
and then you got a big spotlight on the roof that you can actually shine We Talk Shirty into the clouds.
Find one like the old car dealerships had. I would do it in a heartbeat. You'd see me up in Binghamton.
You've got those like car dealership dancing floating guys, and it says We Talk Shirty out in front of the building.
I would really put those out though.
I know you would. That's why I'm saying.
They probably have my face on it too.
I know you've got personalized plates too.
Definitely. Yeah.
So did I fill you in on this, Dylan?
I don't know.
So when I left your shop to come check out the interface, I'm driving home. This is how being over marketing yourself sometimes, or using you could really, I guess, get you screwed up sometimes. But I left Dylan's shop. I'm heading home, and Dylan, I get like right over the border in Pennsylvania. I'm trying to truck home to get home to my kids. It was like a short but long trip, and I wasn't speeding, nothing. Just cruising. You know what it's like driving up through there. Like they're on talks. So I'm just like floating. And all of a sudden I see lights behind me. Like, what the fuck is that? Like I got it all. Like I have like the golden ticket, like I'm out of it. Everything I want. Like I got it. So I get pulled over and the officer comes over and he's like, sir, is this your vehicle? I'm like, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's my vehicle. He's like, okay. I'm like, why'd you pull me over, officer? And he's like, well, the plate isn't registered. I'm like, it's not registered. He's like, yeah, it's registered with another vehicle. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, do you have your registration? Of course I didn't have my registration. I didn't have anything. I'm like, my glove box is empty. I just got this car not too long ago. I'm like, holy shit, I only have this. So I'm pulling up emails. He's like, well, I don't think this could be stolen. I'm like, officer, I'm going to be real blunt with you. You see that fucking mask you're wearing? I just made that for you. You see that shirt that you're wearing underneath your vest? I made that for you too. And third, it says fucking Shirty on the cup. I'm wearing a goddamn t-shirt, and my hat says it too. So if you're telling me this fucking car is stolen, you can put me in cuffs right now and haul my fucking ass out of here. And he's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, you. I'm like, you. I'm talking to you. And he's like, I'm like, go and just call dispatch and ask for this guy. And he calls him. He's like, is he fired up? So he comes back. He's like, you shouldn't have yelled at me like that. I'm like, look, I'm just trying to get home to my family. You pulled me over for my plate. It's my car. I'm telling you, because they were ready to tow me out like it was stolen. And I'm like, and then things calm down, whatever. Next thing you know, we're standing on the side of the road, busting balls, chalking, whatever. But because it was Shirty, SH1TR, SH1 RTY, like Shirty with the number 1. I have Shirty with an I, and I have Shirty with a 5, and I have 2 other ones, right? So what happened was Shirty with the number 1, when I went for this for the Escalade, right, for the family, the dealer thought it was an I, which canceled out my red, the sports car, right? So now I'm driving around in my sports car for 3 months, not valid, because it canceled that plate out. So it was a whole shitstorm because the dealer did that. Then I got rid of the sports car, got another one, so then that canceled out my the new one. So now I'm sitting here going, what the fuck just happened? How does this happen? Because I pull up my email, you could do your DMV online, and I show them the list of the 10 plates. I'm like, look, they all say Shirty. They all say Shirty in one way or shirt, something. This is mine. And he's like, all right, I'll give you, you have 30 days to get that figured out. But that held me up for 2 hours on the side of the road. So sometimes over-marketing yourself sucks.
Yeah. Is your phone number, does it spell out also? I'm trying to think of all the ways that you can spin this. So
I liked your plate, so I ran it. And now I got pulled over.
I know you have Talk Shirty glasses on.
Right there, baby.
I can't see it,
you
but
can't see it, but I know it's there.
Oh, the light. There it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So much so, I just a jokester. So I got like my wife a sublimated, what do you call it? Swimsuit.
I saw it with your face on it.
Yeah, like what the fuck? You gotta have fun in life. It keeps things.
It's amazing.
Fresh.
Yeah,
it's fun. I mean, it is what it is.
So when you moved from the old shop to the new shop, did you change anything as far as like, I know I'm going to change my organization habits to something else when you got to the new place, or did you just kind of keep everything same flow, same everything?
In what regards, though?
I don't know. Like before, you kind of had like your inks in a certain way. You know how you kind of had like.
You're talking about the shop layout.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you and I had some discussion. It's all the flow, like that horseshoe, the old military style. What goes in comes out. That was some deep thoughts in that. Scott from King Screen? I saw a wicked video he did where he used the shelves like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 2A, B, right, and then he took all the inks and categorized them by the Pantone colors. So it made sense. You go to a shelf and there's all these, green Pantone colors. Right? And you're like shuffling through them. Now you go to the tablet and you go to 2A and there's only 12 inks on the shelf and it says 2A on it and what's in that category, like what's on that shelf. So now when a printer needs to go get their ink, they just look for the Pantone number and it tells them what shelf it's on. And then at the end of the day, if they can't figure out where it goes, which it says 2F and A on it, it goes back on shelf 2A. So it's those little kind of details that I'm had to really give a lot of thought to. Those things really do matter because it saves so much time. I mean, how many times have you, your Pantone system, like that whole layout's beautiful, but how many times you scan, like you're looking, and now you could just go to your tablet, type it in, it searches it in the dock, and then you just walk over to that shelf and you only have to look through 12, little cups instead of 30 or a whole wall, so those little things like that. The screen room, I bumped out like 8 feet and I'm in there going, I should have made this bigger. But now I have a whole second floor. So now I'm thinking of putting a dumbwaiter in so I could just like weight them up to the second floor and I have a whole storage right above it.
How is your screen room set up? So that's the horseshoe also probably, right?
So, so right behind me, you can't see here, but over here is where UPS and FedEx comes in. There's like about 3,000 square feet over there. They come in, we lay everything out on the racks and pre-stage it there. It comes rolling through, and it goes behind the presses on this back wall, like right over there. So
Are there two presses over there or one? I can't tell.
There's two in the dryer in the middle.
Okay.
So all the jobs get lined up on this back wall. The print goes down the dryer, and then they push the carts right down to the end to the dryer where she has to stack her shirts for the next job coming down. Then they come right around, right through here, right through this area, right back into shipping and receiving. So it's like that. And then all the screens, when they're done, they walk it right down over this way. And this whole side of the building is my, washout machine and our dark room. So everything is in our coder and CTS. So everything is over in this area. So everything comes in and out for the press over here, and everything in and out of here for production. And then each printer at each press, I'm like, I don't want them, because owning a warehouse now, I'm like trying to show them like there's so much wasted time walking for things. So like the lady, my wonderful employee who checks everything in, she's putting all the racks out, but there's like 50 racks on both sides, 50 carts, and no midway. So she go to an order and she's walking all the way around. I'm like, you have to create midways every 25 carts. It's that simple. She goes, what's a midway? So I had this like long conversation with, warehouse. I've read a ton of books and literature and like how to efficiently let them work, creating those midways so they only have to walk around 5 carts in 5 different stations instead of walking around 50.
When you say carts, so when you stage everything on carts. So they're out of the box, stacked on a cart, and you have 50 of these carts.
You want to see one?
Yeah, like we have carts.
You bought those. You bought those at the auction, right?
Hell yeah!
We have 4 carts.
I have 2.
I'm thinking I need more because we're always looking for carts. I just thought this today, actually.
I've seen other shops do that where they basically, like Ron does, where they have like every job pre-staged on a cart with like, the mock-up on top and then inks on the bottom and squeegees. So all the printer has to do is wheel it over. But
Dude, you know how much time I waste waiting for somebody to stack a cart? Yeah. That wasn't the kind of cart I'm thinking of, but it works.
See.
Yeah, they're restaurant carts with 3 shelves on them. And they're awesome.
Right, but like you said, you could put the shirts on with a mock-up and everything. So all they have to do is grab it and go.
The printer, their notes, the order for the actual customer with all the sizes. This is archaic. We don't use this. They all have tablets that they do, like what they read off of. But this is in case Wi-Fi goes down or something. So we print these out for us.
We do the same thing. Yeah, we have both. We have printouts also.
It does happen. Yeah, like the server blew or the board went out, and then what do? Now technology. So we have these just as a backup and a reference, which works great. So the carts really, I think I got like, 250, 300 carts for like $3 a piece.
250?
Yeah, I couldn't. You should have thought. I'll send you guys a photo. When I was driving out of the place, I had them ratchet strapped to my shanty van. I was driving down the road with like a big half moon as high as I could go. It was ridiculous.
You got these carts when you got the new place. Like you didn't have these carts back
I had these carts over there, and I had them stacked out back.
Oh,
yeah. So
but he bought them. You basically bought them at there was an auction of a shop we don't have to name.
We don't have to name, but it was a very large production facility that closed, and then there was an auction, and the auction. You got some killer stuff out of it too, but the auctioneer that did the auction was local and didn't know our industry, and he
didn't know what it was. Basically,
he was a farm guy. Like he sold farm equipment and like estate sales. So like we're in there and there's like guys buying all the pallet racks and the pallet jacks and this, and then it's like a direct-to-garment machine, $300.
No,
I'll take 7.
Yeah, everything went for super cheap.
And they were shit. Some of them were shit, but 4 of them worked perfectly. The carts were dirt cheap, but that's what you do. You go out and you put in. I took all their ink for $500.
There were gallons and gallons.
Gallons never even opened internet. I haven't bought ink in a year except for white.
It was like Ron called me when he got there and was like, it was funny because they were like auctioning and he called me and he's like, do you want this? It's going for this. It's going for this. Do you want it? Do you want this? And it was funny. Like I ended up getting a red chili. I got the turnabout, but the turnabout was a HD, and it was like they never used it. It was still in the box, cellophaned, everything. I got it for what was it, like $900 or $1,000 or something?
Yeah, $900.
Yeah,
and I got a red chili still on the pallet for like $900.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sick.
They had a ton of stuff. Like you bought what, like 4 DTG machines and like
7 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane. But I couldn't pass it up because I got my dual coder. I got my Saudi coder for like $3,500.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's like, yeah, the auction was fun because like we got stuff out of it. But you got to think too, like the shop who owned it before, like how inefficient were they to where they just had all this shit because they thought they needed it and they never once used it. Like it was all brand new sitting there.
That was like, they were so big. They didn't, from the gist, because I knew the manager that ran the place, they were so big, they didn't even realize what they had. They would send the stuff from another facility in hopes that they would use it, but never got to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the production wanted to move back to their newer, bigger facility and close the Northeast one down, they just kind of took what they wanted and left everything else.
Well, I feel like a lot of it too is they had so much turnaround with staff that they could never teach anybody how to use any of this stuff because they were there, like, paying minimum wage.
I think there was like almost 2,000 direct-to-garment machines in the building. But so the stuff that I picked up that I thought was worthless helped me out during COVID. Like there was a shipping machine that does the poly bagging and prints on the poly bag. Like that machine's like $20,000, and I picked that up really, really reasonably to help out with shipping fulfillment. And that was sitting there collecting dust. COVID hit. Now I have a hands-off approach. Newsweek caught wind of it, and they were in my shop taking photos. But we were hands-off shipping the mask and T-shirt fundraisers out because we didn't have to touch anything because it came off, got folded, and then slipped right into a bag, and it was gone. So I was directly the only one that touched anything.
Yeah.
So I lived in a bubble.
Customer service earlier. You have a few people in that role, and what do they do exactly?
So you live and you learn on that. You want everybody to have that feeling like they're wanted, because that's what's kind of lost on online gaming. You just kind of click and that's it. And sometimes you get a follow-up call or whatnot. But if we have a larger customer that I know has potential to become larger, because we'll grow with them as they grow or however we gauge it, I'll assign them a rep. And that rep is directly responsible for them to make sure that everything goes smooth from start to finish. So instead of calling me or a manager, they have a rep that they could directly talk to and get all the answers through our system. We use Trello, and we use it really, really well to our ability. We tried some other stuff in the industry. It just didn't sync to our, like QuickBooks. You'd think, but it didn't. So we had to stick with Trello, and it works great. But they have their own cards, and they have everybody in there, and we could collaborate through Slack and Trello, and we're able to merge everything so that if that rep isn't here, I could go right in and pick up right where they left off. And that could be me, that could be the janitor, that could be my maintenance guy. They all know how to use it. They just type in the customer's name, it comes up in all of their notes, previous orders. They can move anything around. So the customer service to me is a value, now and then, because we're all young guys, right? I'm a techie guy. I order a shit ton of stuff online, but there's still a huge gap of people that want to meet or talk or get that personal touch, and they're the ones that actually carry a boatload of cash too. They own the businesses. They're in their 50s, they're in their early 60s, and they want that handshake still. So assigning them the rep with the customer service instead of, hey, could you please hold for 5 minutes while I go dig through some paperwork in a filing cabinet? Oh, I have no idea where I chicken scratch that. Or you call me and I'm, okay, boom, boom, there's everything right in front of me.
So this rep, their responsibilities are, they quote out. So let's say a customer says, hey, I'm looking to get another 100 shirts or 400 shirts or 50 shirts, whatever it is. They what? Yeah.
They're like the liaison. Like when you go to they go to the hotel, they put everything together with the concierge. So
they'll quote it out, and then they'll coordinate. They'll enter stuff into Trello. We used to use Trello. We use Monday now, but same thing. So you got to get everything into Trello, let's say.
Yeah.
and then you and then it hands off to the artist. And do they just leave it for a little while, or do they follow up with the art? You know what I mean? Like,
so,
or do
that's where the customer service and the art team works together, because they're tagging each other through the whole process. Because in Trello, you can use those clicks, those icons where it could tag back and forth of what duty you have to do. And then it comes highlighted on the board.
So let's say the artist, they sent out, the art's sent out.
So when that gets sent out, then the rep is messaged that art was just sent out.
Got you. Yeah.
We use the similar thing of a colleague of ours. It text messages everybody or emails them by moving the card.
So they know the status. They know where that job is.
So every day,
shirts are in or whatever. They know everything.
Everything throughout the whole process. And to me, that's important. So how many times has your shop got a call? Hey, do you know where my order is?
Right.
Hey, and it's like, who the fuck are you? Like, hey, do you know if my shirts are done? And you bite your teeth because we get complacent sometimes. I'm just like, your shirts, you know how many shirts I have in this place? Like, but it's, the reality is this might be their first or second time. So you got to be, patient with them. But in the past, that's why I had to go into this platform, is because in the past it's like my order. And then you have to ask 10 questions.
Right.
Well, now with the automation, they're notified through the whole process. And if they call,
the customer's notified.
The customer is, and my staff.
Yeah.
Everybody knows where everything is. Like we could see as the orders move through. Even with shipping, like that's a disaster right now. It's still a disaster.
Yeah.
UPS, FedEx, I mean, how much shit is missing out of your orders? Or, like delayed. It's
yeah, today we got UPS normal time, between 10 and 11. Then we got our Speedy, which is like this courier service, first truck. And it was after lunch sometime. And then when they delivered that, they said, oh, well, you got a second Speedy coming. And that happened at like 3:45 or 4. And some of that second Speedy truck. Oh, and also we got stuff in our mailbox from the United States Postal Service. And I mean, it's all over the place. But that second Speedy truck actually had shirts we were waiting on that we wanted to be on the UPS truck at 10:30. And then
it's all like messed up. So I'm kind of like, I'm telling my customers, I'm giving them a longer time, but everything's still coming in way before that time period, which they're happy with. We have to give ourselves more time because so much could go wrong right now. Honestly, I mean, there's just a shortage of this or a shortage of that, So yeah, if I didn't have this organized shop per se with this technology that my staff and clients get to, tack into, I'd be in a little trouble. Honestly, really would.
Well, the month of October, we had some listeners suggest we should talk about some horror stories. So. So, do you have a horror story for us?
You guys go first.
Mom, I don't have any.
You don't have any horror stories?
We just want it from you.
Yeah, we want to hear yours.
I want to know.
What's your favorite horror story? A customer horror story?
All right, so we use Inksoft. This is the most recent one. We use Inksoft. And I am sticking to my number one rule protocol in the shop. No one is to order outside of the online stores. Tell me why, Andy. Tell me why. Why don't you want to order outside the stores? Because once you write down that order, it's fucking lost.
Yeah.
Because nobody gives a shit about it. You know why? Because my employees follow protocol, which is whatever is ordered online gets printed, not this little sticky note that is around for 2 weeks, right? So I had this lady who I knew for years. She comes in, she's like, I don't want to order on the online store. I just want to pay you cash. And then I'm like, ma'am, please just order online. I'll do it right here. And then you can pay. I'll put it on my card. She's like, no, I just want to leave you the money. I just want to leave you the money and the order. I'm like, ma'am, then I can't take your order. And she's like, well, I've been around and I felt bad. I'm like, all right, I'll take the order. So I write it down, blah, 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 blah. Guess whose order didn't get printed? Oh, shit. Kid, the order goes out. Where's my order? I'm like, well, I'm sorry, it got missed because it didn't come through the online store, and and I didn't have an excuse. I'm like, I messed up. I didn't put it in with the order because it got lost, like I was trying to explain to you. And then the text messages started coming off like a machine gun, like da 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 da. And I'm sitting here going, for fucking $10 t-shirt, I'm getting my balls roasted here because I didn't follow fucking protocol. So if anybody's pissed, it's me. And then I'm just trying to be nice. I'm like, ma'am, look, I overnighted your shirt. It's $30 down, right? I'm gonna make the streams over again. Fucking $60 plus my time there, right? Just for a fucking $10 t-shirt, just to shut her up so she stops text messaging. But the whole point was, you know, one, she couldn't put it on her card because her balance would hurt. She told me like her credit card would have bounced her checking balance. So boom, I should have known. Two, I did a favor that I know would bite me in the ass, which it did. And three, I didn't follow protocol, so shame on me. But just the wasted time on just me not following it, and for me to like really realize, stick to what you do best.
Yeah.
Don't break shit for any. If my mother walked in here tomorrow and said, I want this, order at the fuck online store because it's not coming through paper. Not happening. It's not happening.
That's like we learned that along the way. It's like rule number 1 and rule number 2, just to double remind you, like don't do that. So what happens if somebody wants to change their size?
Well,
do you cancel?
No, let me flip that back. So I'm not even done with this horror story. So then she sends a text.
It gets worse.
Well, I called in and they don't know where the order is. Well, I keep calling in and they can't find the order. I sat on the phone for 15 minutes and she just keeps texting me, how this is not like how a business should be run. And then I just said, ma'am, look, the reason why they can't find your information is because our protocol was for you to order online. And when you call with your order number, we could instantly find you. Like I'm like trying to tell her like in a nice way, this is why I didn't want to break protocol. So I had to waste all this time and she's getting more livid because every time she calls every hour, there's different people answering the phone, but they can't find it because she's not in the system because we didn't follow protocol. So there's your horror story. Stick to your guns and just follow your protocol. But in Inksoft, if somebody switches their order, we could note that. Like there's a note section in there. And we have 3 people that run our online stores. So they're really on top of it. I can't expect them to hand them a piece of paper and be like, hold on to this for 2 weeks and make sure it goes in. I mean, it's just a nightmare and it happened, you know?
Yeah, I find that we have a lot of protocols, like you said, or, you know, it was like, hey, this is the rule. But like you just said, there's times you got to break them, you know, and it's not just always black and white. And I know you hate to do that, but you kind of make this judgment call like, okay, look, we're never going to accept another order like this again or whatever. And then you're face to face with somebody at your counter or whatever it is. And they're like, hey, you know, we heard great things about you guys. We drove an hour over here and we want da-da-da. And so you end up doing it and you shoot yourself in the foot. You're like, I should never, like, why did I do this? You know, but you it's rare. You try and stay there and you say no once and then twice. And then all of a sudden you're kind of doing it just to try to make
it was like an emotional thing. I felt for the woman. She like single mom, you know, and I was just trying to help her out. And here I am now. I'm like, I could have spent all that time with my customers. She's not really even like,
well, I'm guilty of it too. I've broken protocol.
Yeah, I think we've all.
I'll probably do it again in 2 weeks because I kind of like
Yeah.
Get a little fight in you know, keep you a little small.
We all do that every single day. I feel like I get yelled at by my staff more than anybody for like not doing something the right way.
You know what? Like, you're right. It's right. Like, I feel like I'm the outcast, you know? So that's
it's usually how it is. It's usually the owners that are like, I don't need to follow that rule. And then,
like, well, if I don't follow it, then they're not going to follow it.
Yeah, then you get in trouble.
Right. So that's why, you know, we all run really tight ships, and the employee handbook that we created, I mean, it's all, I mean, I never really wanted to do any of that, but it's really, really necessary. Really, really, really necessary. So necessary. Otherwise, there'll be like 20 smoke breaks a day. I'm the laziest fucking worker you'll ever meet. If I worked for you, you would fucking hate me. Well, no, you wouldn't. I make you a lot of money. But when I worked for people before, I was highly, like, really, really motivated. I was just like, I hit my numbers early in the day, and I do whatever the fuck I wanted for the rest of my shift. And they hated that because they're like, could you do more? And I'm like, no, this is what you asked of me. That's it. Give me a goal. I'm going to hit it, and then I'm fucking done. You know, and they're like, well, you should still be making calls. I'm like, no, this is my daily goal. I went over it by 30%. I'm going to sit here all day. I'm going to do whatever I want. And they hated it. Every employer hated me because I'm just, I like to overachieve everything that I try to do, you know, so. But
Andy,
that's
hit him with the Inksoft question.
Okay, yeah, we've got an Inksoft sponsored question.
All right.
And so here we go. Yeah, if you could go back and relive any Halloween, how old were you and what costume did you wear?
Oh my God.
He's going to say something about last year, probably.
No, I had some wicked ones because I love Halloween. Oh, shit. Oh, so college. I thought it would be what do? You go out to bars. Everybody, I mean, I've seen people walk in like with, getting their fortune. I've seen every cool costume. And I'm like, you know what? I was totally shit-faced hungover. I had, my share of whatever, girls at college, whatever, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going as a freshman 15. And my friend said, what the fuck is a freshman 15? I said, I put on a sorority shirt, stuffed my boobies up. I put on a thong. I had my ass hanging out. I put a tramp stamp on my back. I had a condom hanging out of my wig. I had my fucking makeup smeared all over the place. I won $1,000 in the thing. Yeah, I won best prize because I had a beard. That was the best part. I had the beard on with the fucking thing with the cut. I was a freshman at 15. I was a college sorority chick in the freshman year. It was hilarious. Muffin top. I mean, I had high heels on. Imagine. It was
the best part. The best part is we said what was your favorite and what was the one you would want to go back to, and that was the one you want to go back to.
Yeah, I had the blast that night. It was awesome. People were buying me drinks. I was like, this is great.
Dylan, it's your turn.
Well, I have never really dressed up for Halloween.
Get the fuck out of here. There's no possible
did.
way. Even as a little kid?
No, as a little kid, I did, but I think my mom recycled the same costume like 3 times. I remember the only reason why I remember this is because there's a photo of it, but I remember, I don't know why my mom got this or where she got it from, but I was a California raisin. Do you remember the California raisins?
Oh, hell yeah.
I was a California raisin. Like I had a full raisin costume. But yeah, I feel like I didn't really dress up a whole lot. And then when I got to be like a teenager, I never went trick-or-treating. I was just that kid who dressed all in black and then just like egged people's houses or toilet paper trees.
That was fun though.
And then
that was Hell Night. That was the night before Halloween.
Hell Night was the shit. You had that out there?
Oh yeah.
National thing?
Yeah.
That was like all I did.
So
when I was a kid, we
always spent the night at this guy's house named Hugh, and because you could sneak out of his house no problem, like his parents had no clue. And so yeah, you'd go and we used to have a shopping cart full of toilet paper. Nobody questioned it. Like that was normal. Like a bunch of teenage kids with the shopping cart.
They all have diarrhea.
The best I had.
Andy looks like someone would have irritable bowel though, so they were probably
we found a little corner market to buy up all the eggs. An old man, I remember he went. And I was like, yes, he knows what we're doing. Like it was awesome. But yeah, I miss Hell Night. I'd go do it this. I'd do it this year.
Just pegging kids. As a fucking 30-something-year-old.
We talk Shirty hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah.
No, man, what was your favorite? What do you got?
Well, the one that comes to mind is when I was probably 6th grade. I think 6th grade. And I don't know what I was wearing, but it was a costume. But why I remember it is because we had this strategy of, we're going to get the most candy, And so we did really well. We had like the mother load of candy. And then it was like towards the end of the night and we were walking home and then all of a sudden we were fucking tackled in these leaves by these older kids. And they kind of almost beat the shit out of us and then took all of our candy. But I always remembered that because I'll never forget it. Like I was scared to death. Like I had no idea who just tackled us when they took all of our shit. But it made us like, we were just better friends because of it. Because we always told that story. We thought we were cool because that happened. Because we were almost done with Halloween by then anyway, as far as the candy thing goes.
Yeah.
And now every time you see Halloween candy, you get triggered.
like hide in the corner.
Starts weeping.
When we go out to Long Beach, then we'll bring like little jack-o'-lantern bags of candy and we'll shake it and we'll just watch them.
Yeah, cower in the corner.
Oh, poor guy. Yeah, I love Halloween. I mean, I have like all the Shirty mobiles. I put Ghostbusters on the white cars. I got Jurassic Park on the Jeeps. I mean, are
you one of those guys that your house is totally decked out?
My house, nothing. My house is creepy enough. I live out in the country in the middle of my own property with the old barn. I mean, it's wicked. It's creepy enough.
Like you don't get trick-or-treaters anyway?
If they came to my house, they got big balls. They got big balls, little parts, because they're not coming down, you know. It's all private. I got a gate and all that. PTSD. I don't want to live by anybody.
Yeah.
I do my own thing. I have my own like fun land up where I am. Gun ranges, bocce courts, lake, boats. I have blast.
Pizza ovens.
You got to come over.
I know.
You'd love it.
I'm
Pizza
looking forward
ovens.
to a good meal next week.
You got one of those pizza ovens that are outside?
I have a forno. Yeah, I have a pizza oven. I do a pizza review too in our area. I go around, and that's a cool thing I got into. That was totally like made a trophy, showed up. The guy goes, "You like pizza?" I said, "Hell yeah, I worked in pizza shops. I have a pizza oven in my yard." He goes, "You want to go on camera?" Sure, let's do it. Sat down, started reviewing pizza. Next thing you know, we're like 350 reviews in, eating pizza, having a blast. But now I get to meet with all these owners, and they're like, "Oh, Talk Shirty, you're Talk Shirty, man." I'm like, "Yeah."
Were you the OG pizza review guy, like before Barstool?
Barstool's been doing it. This is like Northeastern PA is like the pizza capital of the world, they say, you know, so there's all different types of styles that are all over. He was actually here in our town, but we do it more as a marketing effort for people to get exposure of their pizza and specific kinds that they offer. There's like pan-fried Sicilian, there's an old forge style. There's a lot of different styles out there.
And I guess
me being Italian, I put a forno in my yard because I like to cook. So that pizza that's made in an outside pizza oven, an Italian pizza oven, it's just delicious.
And I guess you get a few orders off of those
I
reviews.
do, because that's like a cool little niche I fell into. I mean, working with all the pizza shops and their distributors, and it's just, you know, but that I fell into.
Well, hey, dude, thanks for doing the podcast with us. I'll, like I said, I'll be seeing you next week for sure.
Yeah. Can't wait. I wish you guys all the best of luck. Stay safe. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, and welcome to the club, Club Cobra. All right.
I got geese.
003. Is that what it
Did you
was?
say you have geese being made?
I have geese being made, and you both get one. So, and it looks just like the Cobra Kai movie, just cut off, yellow. But I did like the bubble with the big cobra in it. Stay tuned. It's coming your way. I'm shipping them out.
All right, man.
All right, dude. We'll see you later.
Cheers.
All right, cheers.